Hi, it's great to be here today. My name is Mary Maines, and I am so excited that I get to be here with my daughter Olivia. And we thought we would go ahead and do this together this time and be able to share a little bit about our lives. I just want to say I am so impressed with all the moms out there. You know, in a time like this, it is just crazy. And I think no matter how you started the year, whether you're a working mom or you are a stay-at-home mom or you homeschool your children, my hunch is you never thought this is how it was going to be. And I think it's also brought a lot of challenges with it at times. I can remember so many times as a young mom trying to do my very best to work in the ministry and take care of my children. But honestly, a lot of times I felt like I was failing. I felt like, how are these kids going to turn out? Am I going to regret how I've parented them? And I think so much of our relationship with God is what's needed during these times. It certainly was for me. To really understand God is such a gracious God. And I think we can be so hard on ourselves and on our kids at times and want to be the perfect mom, but guess what? There isn't any perfect mom out there. And I think it's also a time for us to realize that God is very much in control of this. And it's been so good for me to keep searching my own heart and praying to really find out, what does God want from me during this time? You know, I found the scripture, and it's kind of been my theme scripture, not just through this time, but really through the last 3 years of my life, and some of the challenges I've had with losing Kevin and moving forward without him. And I love it because it's James chapter 1, it's verse 2 through 4, but it's in the Message Bible, so it's a little different take on it. But it says, "Consider it a sheer gift, friends, when tests and challenges come at you from all sides." Do you ever feel that way? I sure do. It says, "You know that under pressure, your faith life is forced into the open and shows its true colors. So don't try to get out of anything prematurely. Let it do its work so that you can become mature and well-developed, not deficient in any way." And Olivia will be sharing in a few minutes, but I did want to look over the scripture. I am so called higher to consider our challenges a sheer gift. It almost seems like that's impossible except when God is part of it. You know, he says under pressure, your faith life kind of shows its true colors. And I think if we're all honest with us, there's been parts of this that have shown some really incredible things that we've come to understand about ourselves and even come to understand about our children along the way. But there's also some things that we go, ugh, I'm not sure I like that so well. You know, I've been with Chaz and Olivia, my daughter, and Emily, my granddaughter, for part of this quarantine. And I think about 2 weeks ago, I looked at them and said, I'm kind of done with all of this. And they were kind of silent, and then they said, okay, as if that was going to make a difference. But sometimes we can feel that way. We're just kind of done with everything. And I love when it says, don't try to get out of it prematurely. And I can think of so many times in parenting and trying to be a great mom, trying to help my children. I remember praying many times, please God, just let this be over. Let them mature through this. Let them be safe and taken care of through this. I don't want the struggle, nor do I want my kids to struggle anymore. And yet God has a purpose and a plan in all of that. He says, let it do its work so that you become mature and well developed. And that's not an easy task as a mom, to really be well developed. So I wanted Olivia to be able to share a little bit about her experiences as well.
So I have a 2.5-year-old, Emily, and I'm in my second trimester of pregnancy with our next one. And I relate a lot to what my mom is sharing, especially that scripture for me is huge. This idea of not wanting to rush through hardship or not wanting to push through difficult times. I think as a mom, especially to a young toddler, it's hard. It's hard to feel that way. I think even if it's in the past with teething or with sleep training, or even right now we're going through potty training, and honestly, Emily's doing great, but there still has accidents and different things will happen. And it's interesting because everything in me wants to get past those times. I think whether it's teething, you're just like, we need just pop those teeth need to pop in because it's just so frustrating. Or in the middle of the night, Emily trying to sleep train her. It was just like, if we could just get past this, if she can just sleep through the night, our lives would be so much easier. I think even when Emily could crawl, but she couldn't walk for a long time. And so we could take her places, but she just wanted to get down. And it was just my mind, if she could just walk, our lives would be so much easier. And I think I found myself getting into that pattern of, if we could just be at the next, then it would be so much easier, rather than enjoying kind of the fun part of motherhood of those times. I think looking back, there were so many wonderful times with her teething that I was able to comfort her, or times when, she's sleep training that I was able to have those sweet moments in the middle of the night. And, obviously you see what God is doing in that, is creating this time of being able to be a nurturer to our child. But in the moment it didn't feel like that. I just wanted to get to the next step. And I think in this quarantine, especially with Emily, I find myself in that same pattern. Whether it's potty training, or right now we're also in the terrible twos of just a little bit of sass. She's actually a really great 2.5-year-old, but there is some sass in there, and just, if we can just get to 3, and obviously I catch myself and I say, okay, I need to enjoy these moments because I'm not going to have them for very long, but I do find myself snapping out of frustration or impatience or anger. And I was having a conversation with my mom, just asking her different questions from when I was a kid, how she handled things, just to gain some perspective. And it's so refreshing, I think, as a mom, talking to my mom about being my mom, if that makes sense. And I think what I realized was she remembered different times of when she felt like maybe a failure as a mom in different instances. And one of the things she had brought up was, I just remember holidays and big parties at our house always just brought out the worst in me. And it's funny, and I thought back, and I don't remember, I remember parties at our house, but I don't have specific memories of parties, I don't have specific holiday memories, but I do remember the stress, and she told me I could share this, so that's why I'm sharing it. But I do remember that feeling of, okay, people are coming over, Stuart, my older brother, let's gear up, we're gonna clean all day, or we have to help, or we're gonna be peeling potatoes, and just kind of that feeling of, okay, we're walking on eggshells here. But it's funny, those feelings were really short, and that wasn't my childhood. I have little feelings like that, of memories of that, but that wasn't my overall relationship with my mom, or my overall feeling of my mom. My overall feeling of my mom was, this is so fun. I have such a loving, spiritual, fun mom. And even, again, as I'm talking to her, okay, what were some of your challenging times as a mom? Help me, as I'm a mom now. And, obviously, as a young child, I kind of marked off times of, periods of time of what house we lived in, and she would say, well, at this house I was under a lot of stress because of this, and then at that house this was really hard. And it's funny because I would think back to living at those houses and think, okay, I just remember going to the beach every Friday. I just remember all the crafts and DIY projects we did, and all the family devotionals, and the prayer drives, and the quiet times, and cooking together, and baking. And like my memory of my relationship with my mom is so fun, and I think that helps me as a mom, because I remember, even like with Emily, what I can feel sometimes is, I've ruined my relationship with my 2.5-year-old because I snapped at her, or she's gonna feel like I'm this angry person, I'm this angry mom, when that's not. When I look at it, that's really not the majority of my relationship with her. The majority of my relationship is we do a lot of fun things together. We have family devotionals. You know, in this time of quarantine, we've been able to bake together. You know, Gammy has done so many crafts with Emily, and I think when she thinks about this time, my hope is she's gonna think, wow, what a fun time where my Gammy got to come live with us, not what a stressful time of my mom being so frustrated with me, you know. And I think I have to have grace with myself. I think I obviously need to go after not having those times of getting frustrated, but when those things do happen, having grace and realizing I'm not ruining my relationship with my 2.5-year-old. So I think with all of this, what I've learned is I need to have a lot more grace with myself. I think we all need to have a lot more grace with ourselves. Young moms, moms of teenagers, moms of empty nesters. I think we just need to have a lot more grace with ourselves, especially in this time when we're with our little ones or our older ones nonstop.
Yeah, and I think when we look back at this time, I don't know whether it's going to be 2 months, 3 months, but in the grand scheme of things, it's really not that much time. So I think there is a part of us, as Olivia was saying, that we got to do our best, but we got to have grace. Love you guys.